I once took a road trip from New Hampshire to Florida. I had to stop at a hotel to sleep overnight when I was about halfway there. It was some old, somewhat dilapidated hotel that rested off the highway on a quiet road. There were like 2 cars in the parking lot, so there were definitely not a lot of guests. The lady at the front desk was very robotic and seemed bored with her job. She seemed to fit the atmosphere of the hotel perfectly. The lobby was full of tacky chairs and tables you'd expect to find put out on the curb. The wallpapers were all dated and equally tacky. Didn't matter though, I wasn't staying there for the luxury, just for the night and for the convenience. It was late when I checked in, so when I got in the room, all I did was take out my toothbrush and brush my teeth before jumping into the hotel bed. I turned out the lamp next to the bed and tried to go to sleep, not looking forward to the long day of driving I had ahead of me the next day. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. I looked at the bedside clock to be sure that it was almost midnight. I went to the door and looked through the peephole. Apparently the peephole didn't work though, because I couldn't see out into the hallway through it. All I saw was black. I looked down at the crack under the door, but didn't see any outlines of feet blocking the light. So I opened the door just a little bit to peek into the hallway. When I didn't see anyone standing in front of the door, I opened it fully and then peeked down both sides of the hallway. It was clear, so I had to suddenly question if someone in this relatively vacant hotel was pranking me. I shut the door, locked it with the bolt this time, and went to lay back down in the bed. But then it happened again, a knock at the door. This time I jumped out of the bed, ran to the door, and checked the peephole again. Shockingly, all I saw was the empty hallway outside, but it hit me. This time I could actually see through the peephole. I unbolted the door and opened it. No one. I looked down both sides of the hallway again, and there was no one. This was where I drew the line. I grabbed the key to the room and went to the lady at the front desk. I told her someone kept knocking on my door, and politely asked her to check the cameras to see who it could be. She said they didn't have cameras in the hallways. Her reaction also wasn't what I was hoping for. She seemed very calm and disconcerted with what I told her. She said in a calm voice there was only one other guest in the whole building. Then she just stared blankly at me. I'm not sure how she thought her response properly acknowledged my concern or what she expected me to say, but I could tell she wouldn't be of any help with the matter, so I left her and went back to my room. I locked the door with the bolt again. This time I put on my headphones and put on one of those 10-hour sleep relaxation videos on YouTube. This would not only help me get to sleep, but block out any possible future sounds from whoever was deciding to mess with me. And it worked. For a while at least. Eventually I flipped from my side to my back, just looked around the room. My head froze when I was staring at the corner. I sat up to try to get a closer look at what I thought I was seeing. I swear it looked like a giant humanoid figure, like a 10-foot tall human, standing right in the corner, head to the ceiling. When I put that image together in my head, I felt a sudden rush of horror in my body. I jumped across the bed to flick on the lamp, but when the room lit up, there was nothing in that corner of the room. I simply sat there with my heart beating probably 200 beats per minute. I gave myself a couple minutes to calm down before shutting the light back off and laying back down on my side. I still had the headphones in my ears playing the relaxation video. It helped calm me down a little bit. I didn't last even 2 minutes without sitting back up and examining the room again, however. And there it was in the corner, what looked to be a 10-foot tall humanoid figure. I crawled to the edge of the bed to get as close a look as I could before practically shitting myself. I saw what I was sure was a long arm at the side, moving. I dove to turn on the lamp again, and the corner was empty again. I didn't stick around that time. I packed up my few things in a matter of seconds and left the room. I gave the key to the woman and said I'm checking out early. She didn't even say a word as I stormed out that front door of the hotel. I continued driving until I found another hotel, where I fell fast asleep with no supernatural disturbances. As a kid, I had a bedroom on the first floor. Money was a little tight, and our mom was taking care of 4 kids. I was the youngest, so I had the little room. My room was next to the living room, a small square room with wood flooring. There were 2 big vents in the floor in this room in 2 opposite corners, and also 2 vents in the ceiling. My bed took up half the room. Like I said, it was a very small room. I'll keep it short and straight to the point. I was 13 years old doing my homework on my bed since I didn't have a desk in my room when I heard a child's laughter. I went outside my room to look around the living room and kitchen for any of my siblings. Everyone seemed to be upstairs though. Usually in these kinds of stories, you hear people say they just chalk these kinds of things up to their imagination. But that's stupid. I definitely heard that laughter. There's no way I imagined something so clear. I continued my homework, but with one ear perked up listening for any other suspicious sounds. Eventually enough time passed that I was able to move past it. In fact, it seems it was just about when I was able to get over it that I heard it again. A child's laughter. Or more so, giggling, I should say. This time it went on longer. It wasn't coming from outside my room. It was somewhere in the room. I figured one of my brothers were hiding from me. I followed the sound of the laughter, strangely, to the corner of my room. Then I looked down at the vent on the floor. It was coming from inside the vent. I got down on my knees and pressed my ear up to the vent. There was no more giggling at this point though. When there was a silence for a few seconds, I lifted my ear from the vent and then put my eyes up to the vent to get a peek inside. It took me a second to realize I was staring at a pair of eyes looking back up at me. I shrieked like a girl and screamed for my mom. She came storming into my room moments later, but of course the noises were gone, as were the eyes. My mom thought I was going crazy due to a lack of sleep, but I refused to sleep in that room, so she let me sleep in her room that night. That went on for a week actually, before she put her foot down. I spent the next 4 years in that same bedroom before we moved, and nothing paranormal ever happened to me since that one particular night.